It's a feeling that's become uncomfortably familiar for millions across the UK. You check your bank account. Payday is still 5, maybe 6 days away, but the balance is hovering near zero. That familiar knot of anxiety tightens in your stomach. You start doing the mental maths, trying to stretch what's left, wondering how it happened again. You got paid, you covered the bills, but somewhere between then and now, the money just vanished. If this sounds like your life, you're not alone. And the reason isn't just a lack of willpower or a few too many takeaways. The real story is much bigger, woven into the fabric of the British economy over the last decade and a half. Let's start with the most obvious culprit, the cost of living crisis. Since late 2021, prices have surged in a way most of us have never experienced. We all remember the headlines when inflation hit a 41-year high of over 11% back in October 2022. And while the rate has come down since then, hovering around 3 to 4%, the damage is done. Lower inflation doesn't mean prices are falling. It just means they're rising a bit more slowly. The cost of a weekly food shop, the price of petrol, the rent or mortgage payment. They've all climbed to a new, much higher plateau. That 54% hike in the energy price cap in 2022 wasn't a temporary blip. It reset our baseline costs. The average rent has jumped over 9% in a single year. These aren't small changes. They are fundamental shifts that have permanently eroded our purchasing power. This relentless pressure on our wallets has been met with a devastating counterpunch: stagnant wages. This isn't a new problem. It's a wound that's been festering since the financial crisis of 2008. For 15 years, real wages in the UK have flatlined. According to the Resolution Foundation, the average worker is an estimated £11,000 a year worse off than they would have been if wages had grown at their pre-2008 pace. Think about that. £11,000. That's not just a holiday or a new car. For many, it's the difference between financial stability and constant anxiety. It means the average British worker today can buy roughly the same with their salary as they could back in 2008, despite the world becoming a vastly more expensive place. Compounding this is the changing nature of work itself. For 4 million people in the UK, that's 1 in every 8 workers. Employment is precarious. This means 0-hour contracts, temporary gigs, and low-paid, insecure roles with unpredictable hours. It's incredibly difficult to budget for the month when you don't know how much you'll earn next week. This insecurity traps people in a cycle of financial instability, making it impossible to plan for the future, let alone build up a safety net for the present. And that lack of a safety net is where the crisis truly hits home. When your income is squeezed by high costs and stagnant pay, savings are the first casualty. A shocking 16% of UK adults have no savings at all. None. 2/5 have less than £1,000. For millions, an unexpected bill, a broken boiler, a car repair, isn't an inconvenience. It's a catastrophe. It's the moment you slip from just about managing into serious financial trouble. This is what experts call low financial resilience. In 2023, nearly half of all adults in the UK, over 20 million people, were considered financially vulnerable. They are one payday, one unexpected expense away from disaster. This vulnerability forces people into debt. The average person in Britain now owes over £1,200 in non-mortgage debt. For those seeking help, the situation is even more dire. Nearly half of people seeking debt advice are living on a deficit budget. This is a chillingly simple concept. Their essential monthly costs are higher than their monthly income. They are sinking, financially, every single month. But there's another layer to this story, one that takes place inside our own heads. The economic pressures are immense, but our own habits and psychology also play a critical role. There's a powerful payday effect. That rush of relief when your salary finally lands can trigger a powerful urge to spend. For many, it's a feeling of temporary wealth, a brief moment of freedom from the month-long squeeze. Research shows that 1 in 5 people spend over half of their spare monthly wages within just 48 hours of being paid. This isn't simply irresponsibility. It's often a psychological response to stress and scarcity. After a month of saying no, of feeling deprived, the treat-yourself mentality takes over. Spending activates the reward centers in our brain, releasing dopamine and providing a temporary hit of pleasure, a form of emotional coping. It's retail therapy. We might be bookmarking items online for weeks, waiting for payday to pounce. And in a world of one-click purchases and targeted ads, the triggers for impulse spending are everywhere. The problem is that this short-term relief often leads to long-term regret as the reality of the weeks ahead sets in. More than a quarter of people admit they can't even identify the spending patterns that lead them into debt. It just seems to happen. So, caught between a broken economic system and our own psychological wiring, what can be done? Breaking the cycle is hard, but it starts with taking back control, one small step at a time. The foundation is a realistic budget. Not just a vague idea of your expenses, but a meticulous tracking of where every pound goes. Budgeting apps can help, but the principle is simple. Separate your needs from your wants. A popular method is the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your income for needs like housing and bills, 30% for wants, and a crucial 20% for savings and debt repayment. One of the most powerful psychological shifts is to pay yourself first. The moment your salary hits your account, before you pay a single bill or buy a coffee, transfer a set amount into a separate savings account. Automate it. Make saving a non-negotiable expense, just like your rent. This builds that emergency fund, the financial cushion that can turn a crisis into a manageable problem. For impulse purchases, try the 24-hour rule. If you want to buy something non-essential, wait a day. The cooling-off period often reveals whether it was a genuine need or a fleeting impulse. And if you're struggling with debt, you are not alone. Free, expert charities like Step Change or National Debtline exist to help you create a manageable plan. But individual actions can only go so far. The broader issues of wage stagnation and regional inequality require systemic solutions. We've seen glimpses of what's possible. The Scottish Child Payment, a targeted benefit for low-income families, is credited with actively reducing child poverty in Scotland, demonstrating that direct, focused government intervention can make a real difference. More power and funding for local regions to tackle their specific challenges, from housing to transport, could also help rebalance the economy. Ultimately, being broke before payday is rarely a personal failing. It is a symptom of a country where the cost of living has detached from the value of work, where job security has eroded, and where millions have been left without a financial safety net. Understanding this, seeing the interplay between the price of milk, your employment contract, and that urge to splurge on payday, is the first step. It's not about blame, it's about clarity. Because only by understanding the real reasons we're in this situation can we begin to build a future where the end of the month is met not with anxiety, but with confidence.